You will not believe what Ryan Reynolds just did in Minnesota. He thinks he knows us. He thinks he understands our taste, our humor, our lifestyle. But the truth is, he is completely out of touch. And what he is selling now is shocking and insulting to everyone who actually lives here and loves this state. And by the end of this video, you're going to see why his so-called wine launch is not just a marketing fail, but a full-on tone-deaf disaster that has Minnesotans furious. And I promise, you will not want to miss a single second of what I am about to reveal. You will not believe what Ryan Reynolds just did in Minnesota. He came into our state selling a new boxed wine, thinking he could charm everyone with his celebrity status and his supposed sense of humor. But the reality is that what he said and how he marketed it has left a lot of people scratching their heads and questioning if he really understands anything about our state. He claims Minnesota is an underdog state, which is baffling because anyone who actually lives here knows we are consistently ranked as one of the best states in the nation with top education systems, affordable healthcare, quality housing, a strong economy, and thriving communities. We are a state of achievers and resilient people, and yet he portrays us as if we are somehow incapable of making choices or appreciating quality wine. And it does not stop there, because in his interview with the Star Tribune, he brings up Tater Tot Hot dish, which sure is a Minnesota dish, but it is far from a universal staple. As if serving a cheap boxed wine alongside a casserole defines the tastes and lifestyle of millions of Minnesotans. And the way he frames it is not clever marketing, it is condescending and insulting, suggesting that we would settle for mediocrity simply because we are supposedly underdogs. And then there is the fact that Ryan Reynolds has barely been to Minnesota, only claiming 2 visits. Yet he talks about having a spiritual connection to our state, which makes you wonder how much research he actually did, or if he even took the time to understand who we are. He seems to think that being Canadian gives him some insight into Midwestern humor, or that freezing in the winter automatically makes us funny and ironic, when in reality we are practical, hardworking people who enjoy life on our own terms and do not appreciate being stereotyped for the sake of selling a product. And the marketing itself is another shocker because it shows a lack of understanding of our laws and customs. For example, he talks about enjoying the wine lakeside at any of our 10,000 lakes, when in reality carrying alcohol in public places is illegal and could get you fined, which shows a fundamental misunderstanding of local regulations and public life. And he continues to lean into stereotypes with phrases like portable wine to enjoy anywhere, or suggesting we will appreciate his so-called underdog wine simply because it is cheap and in a box, as if Minnesotans cannot discern quality or make their own decisions. And every single line of his marketing, from backpacks to waterfalls to lakes, is dripping with assumptions that are not only tone-deaf but frankly insulting. And it paints a picture of a celebrity who is more interested in exploiting a market than actually respecting the people who live there. And this is just the beginning, because once you dig into the details of his plans and the people he wants to hang out with, it becomes clear that he is more focused on billionaires and celebrity culture than connecting with real Minnesotans or understanding our communities. But what makes this even more unbelievable is that Ryan Reynolds not only misunderstands Minnesota, he seems completely oblivious to the reality of how people actually live here. He talks about hanging out with the owners of the Vikings and Timberwolves, billionaires who have no real connection to the average Minnesotan, and acts as if that represents the state, when in reality most of us do not know the team owners and could not care less about mingling with wealthy elites. What we care about are our communities, our families, our schools, our jobs, and our winters, which are brutal and demanding. And yet he thinks that showing up with a wine in a box and playing on stereotypes will somehow endear him to people. And it gets worse because he references Minnesota accents and our supposed sense of irony. Like somehow we are these caricatures from a 1990s film or a television show, when in reality our state has changed tremendously over the years, with diverse populations, thriving from Somalians to Mexicans to Ecuadorians to hardworking laborers who contribute to the economy and our culture. Yet his words ignore all of that diversity and history and paint a picture that is not only inaccurate, but disrespectful. And then he keeps doubling down in his interviews and social media marketing, claiming that the wine is portable and perfect for lakeside enjoyment or hiking trails, when the law does not even allow that carrying alcohol in public spaces states. Parks or beaches is prohibited, and yet his marketing keeps promoting images of people enjoying it outdoors, as if we are too naive to notice that he is completely out of touch, and his entire campaign hinges on condescension, implying that we are willing to overlook rules and sophistication because we are supposedly underdogs, and yet nothing could be further from the truth. Minnesotans are proud, practical people who take pride in our successes and in our traditions, and we have no interest in being the butt of a celebrity joke just to sell a product. And then there is the wine itself, which he keeps framing as an underdog product, cheap, packaged in a box, and yet somehow clever. When the reality is that cheap wine does not need a story. To sell itself quality and taste matter, and trying to equate mediocrity with charm is offensive to anyone who has ever worked hard to cultivate taste or build a reputation in this state. And the marketing does not stop at insults and misinformation. It escalates into sheer absurdity, with claims that you can enjoy it at waterfalls, in state parks, or lakeside on your own terms, which completely ignores the practical realities of Minnesota law and common sense. It is a campaign built on assumptions, ignorance, and tone-deaf humor. And yet Reynolds proudly talks about storytelling and emotional investment, as if calling Minnesotans naive and stereotypical is a form of connection when in reality it is alienating and insulting. And this disconnect between celebrity confidence and actual understanding is what makes the situation not just frustrating, but shocking, because it shows a lack of respect for the people he is trying to sell to and a failure to grasp the reality of the community and culture that defines Minnesota. And then there is the way Ryan Reynolds frames his so-called underdog story and his connection to Minnesota. It is almost laughable because he claims to understand our humor, our culture, and our resilience. Yet he has barely set foot here, and every statement he makes shows a deep misunderstanding of the people, the state, and the lifestyle that we actually live. He talks about our winters as if freezing and sub-zero temperatures magically produces a sense of irony or cleverness, and he references films and accents that only exist in Hollywood scripts and caricatures, completely ignoring the modern and vibrant reality of Minnesota, where people are diverse, hardworking, and practical. And the way he markets the wine is equally baffling, with images of lakes, forests, waterfalls, and parks, suggesting that Minnesotans will appreciate his product because of the scenery or the so-called adventure of drinking a boxed wine outdoors, when in reality carrying alcohol in public is illegal. And his suggestions are not just misleading, they are tone-deaf and potentially embarrassing for anyone trying to take them seriously. And it does not stop there, because his social media campaigns continue to play into every outdated stereotype, from tater-tot hot dish to Scandinavian accents to ironic underdogs, as if these cliches could somehow override the intelligence and discernment of an entire population. And his messaging implies that we are gullible and unsophisticated, ready to buy anything cheap just because it has a celebrity endorsement. And yet Minnesotans are anything but naive. We are proud of our achievements, our education, our economy, our communities, and our lifestyle. And yet Reynolds acts as if we need to be flattered with patronizing humor and low-quality packaging to accept a product, when in reality, quality matters, taste matters, and respect matters. And his entire campaign is a study in what happens when celebrity confidence meets cultural ignorance, because he talks about storytelling, emotional investment, and marketing brilliance, yet every message he sends shows he has not done the work to understand who we are and what we value. And then there is the irony of him claiming that his childhood Vikings hat was the most worn, or that he has a spiritual connection to a state he has visited only twice, which feels more like an attempt to manufacture authenticity than a genuine connection. And it is made even more absurd by the fact that his idea of connecting with Minnesotans is hanging out with billionaires and sports team owners who have little relevance to everyday life here, and suggesting that this somehow represents the state, or that it gives him insight into the people who live here. And the marketing itself continues to escalate in ridiculousness, from portable wines to backpacks, to lakeside enjoyment at waterfalls, to claiming that the state is perfect for underdog wine, when in reality Minnesota is a state of achievers, strong communities, and vibrant culture, which makes his messaging feel like a complete misfire and a public relations disaster. Yet he continues to push the narrative with pride, as if insulting the intelligence and taste of an entire state is somehow clever and charming. And this is why the story is so shocking, because it is not just about selling a product, it is about the disconnect between celebrity culture, marketing assumptions, and the reality of an entire state that is being treated like a caricature for the sake of profit and attention. You will not believe what just happened in Minnesota. Ryan Reynolds has officially launched a new boxed wine, and he thinks he can win over our state with his celebrity charm and Hollywood humor. But the truth is, what he is doing is shocking, disrespectful, and completely tone-deaf. From the moment he talks about Minnesota as an underdog state to the way he markets this so-called wine, it is clear that he has no understanding of who we are, what we value, or how we actually live, and you are going to want to hear every single detail, because the story gets crazier and more unbelievable as it unfolds. First of all, he claims Minnesota is an underdog state, which is baffling to anyone who actually knows anything about our communities, our economy, and our culture. We consistently rank among the top states in the nation with excellent education systems, affordable healthcare, thriving communities, and a strong economy. We are not struggling or overlooked. We are hardworking people who take pride in what we have built. Yet Reynolds frames us as if we are incapable of discernment or sophistication, as if we will settle for a cheap boxed wine simply because he says we are underdogs. And it does not stop there, because in his interview he brings up tater tot hot dish as if serving a boxed wine alongside a casserole somehow defines our tastes and lifestyle. This is not clever marketing. This is condescending and insulting to millions of Minnesotans who know better. And then he talks about having a spiritual connection to our state, despite only visiting twice, which makes you question whether he actually did any research or if he even cares about the people he is trying to sell. He thinks that freezing in our brutal winters magically produces a sense of irony and humor that will make us embrace his product. When in reality, we are practical, resilient people who value substance over superficial celebrity claims, and his marketing continues to escalate into absurdity, portraying us enjoying wine lakeside at waterfalls and state parks and hiking trails, which is not just unrealistic, it is illegal in many cases because carrying alcohol in public places is prohibited. But he persists with this imagery as if Minnesotans are naive and will overlook both the law and common sense to sip his so-called underdog wine. And then there is the people he wants to hang out with, billionaires and sports team owners who have little connection to everyday Minnesotans. Yet he frames these encounters as proof of his insight into our culture and humor, and as if our state will be impressed by his celebrity connections, when the reality is that most of us could not care. Less about mingling with elites, and what really makes this story shocking and fascinating is the sheer disconnect between his confidence and understanding. He talks about storytelling, emotional investment, and marketing brilliance, yet every single detail of his campaign, from portable wines to backpacks, to lakeside enjoyment, shows ignorance, assumptions, and a blatant disregard for the people of Minnesota. And by the end of this video, you are going to see why this is not just a marketing fail. It is a cultural misfire, a public relations disaster, and a story that exposes the gap between celebrity marketing and real life. And you will not want to miss a single moment of what I am about to reveal, because every statement, every image, and every claim he makes is more unbelievable than the last. And the way he positions Minnesota and its people in his marketing is shocking and dramatic, and in the next few minutes, I am going to break it all down for you piece by piece. So sit tight, because what Ryan Reynolds thinks he knows about Minnesota is about to be completely exposed.